Pause the recording and look at all these different kinds of reasons. One kind of reason you need to be very aware of is the basic reason. This will be the unsupported stepping off point of the argument. Every argument has to start somewhere, and the basic reason is often offered as a relatively uncontested reason, or perhaps a position of common sense for whatever discipline or background context the argument appears in. For that reason, if you can make the basic reason seem contestable, you can destabilise the entire argument of, say, an opponent in a moot. The essential feature that all these kinds of reasons on our image have in common is that they're offered as some kind of support of or foundation for a conclusion. So identifying reasons is about identifying the statements, reasons, facts or whatever that are offered in support of the conclusion. Reasons function in various ways to support a conclusion. There are two basic structures of how reasons fit together to support a conclusion: side-by-side structures and serial or chain structures. Here are two simple examples that demonstrate the difference between these two structures. Pause the video to look at each image carefully and then listen to the explanation. In this simple argument, you can see that each reason supports another reason until you reach the main conclusion, which is that you shouldn't buy an old car. A chain structure sets up a series of stacked reasons like this, and each reason that is supported by a reason also functions as a conclusion. It's just that each supported reason, i.e. conclusion, is intermediate until we reach the main conclusion. Let's look at how this works in an image, just to make it clear. In a longer argument, say a legal argument, a chain structure might be made up of several propositions of law that are presented as being logically dependent on each other as reasons in support of a legal conclusion, for example. The point is here, I just want you to grasp the basic idea of the structure. The second structure is side-by-side reasons. There are two shapes here on this image because side-by-side reasons can support the conclusion in two different ways. Side-by-side reasons can be presented jointly or independently. So that you understand this more clearly, let's look at two simple examples of side-by-side reason structures. Again, pause the video when you need to. If you pause the recording to look at this argument, you'll see that the conclusion is that a life of crime is a poor career choice. This is based on two reasons, either of which could support the conclusion on its own. And you'll see that the way the argument is expressed makes this clear when it suggests that even if the first reason doesn't apply, because you got away with the crime without getting caught, you would still despise yourself for the crime. This kind of argument sometimes appears in a legal case where a lawyer will make an argument and then say, even if this does not apply, however, and then continues with another argument in support of the main conclusion that he or she wants the court to accept. Again, at this point, all I want you to understand is how this works in broad terms. I'm just trying to get you to see how reasons function and how they fit together in structures that support the conclusion. We are in effect mapping the building blocks of argument at a very simple level. Still with side-by-side reasons, here's an example of an argument where reasons are joint. Joint reasons have to support the conclusion together, or the conclusion cannot be supported. And if one of the reasons was missing, in fact, you'd need to read it into the argument as a silent reason or an unstated premise. If I argue that people who sunbathe for more than a day in the right conditions get tanned, and that therefore Jodie has not done so, you will deduce, rightly, that there's a missing reason along the lines that Jodie isn't tanned. The same goes for an argument stating that Jodie is not tanned, and therefore she is not sunbathed in the right conditions. You will know that I need to have an unstated reason that people who sunbathe in the right conditions get tanned. Neither reason, taken on its own, can support the conclusion. Something is missing in either case. Now, what you need to know is that all more complicated arguments are just combinations of these two basic structures of side-by-side and chain or serial reasons. And knowing this means that you can begin to get an idea of how to analyse the structure of an argument on a larger scale. A skill which, if you can demonstrate it, will impress your tutors no end.